Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be going over the area of your life that you are trying to perfect based on the house that you guys have Virgo in. So everyone is going to have Virgo occupying a house in their natal charts. This is regardless of the fact if you have any Virgo placements, okay, that might add a little bit more to the story. But today we are just looking to see in your natal charts what house is Virgo occupying. Now, if you are looking in the Placidus tropical system, perhaps you have something called an interception where Virgo is going to be hiding. It might look like Virgo doesn't have a house, but it still does have a house. It's just called an interception, which basically means that this energy is hidden or swallowed up in your charts, which means actually you guys should be paying even more attention to this because it's going to be harder for you to pull it out. Anytime I see an interception taking place in somebody's natal chart, regardless of the placements, even if it's just a sign and the house, well, in that particular case, usually what that signifies to me is that when you guys were younger and you were growing up, this area either wasn't nurtured, supported, and I'm not a psychologist, by the way, that's always one of my disclaimers, but something of this sort took place because everything does stem from the home and the original two caregivers. Maybe the parents didn't even know about this, or they didn't pay attention to this, or maybe they were different. It can manifest many different ways, but if you guys have an interception taking place, even more of a reason to focus on that particular energy, because again, you're going to have to see how you can get the energy to come out, because a lot of the time, if it doesn't have a positive outlet, it gets suppressed and it tends to go into the shadow of the energy. So that's the way that I see interceptions. Definitely check out one of my videos on interceptions. I will link it down below if you guys are interested in learning more about interceptions and what they mean in your natal charts. But overall, if you guys want to see and you're just watching maybe this video for the first time, you can't find Virgo, it might be intercepted, you want to check Leo, okay, it's the preceding energy. So preceding Virgo is Leo. What house is Leo in? That means Virgo would be intercepted in that house as well. So everybody has Virgo occupying a house. Some of you guys might have an interception, and overall Virgo can symbolize many things. But today we're just going to be looking at the area of life, which is a house you guys are trying to perfect, or what you guys are trying to perfect. And also it's going to be really important to understand that even if you guys are trying to achieve perfection in this particular area, that perfection ultimately doesn't exist. There could be an area that you guys might not even be aware that you guys are really focusing on and trying to perfect. But again, ultimately at the end of the day, that's what Virgo is learning down here on this earth plane. So let's go ahead and jump into the houses, starting with Virgo in the first house, or if you guys are a Virgo rising. So if you guys have Virgo occupying your first house, the area of life that you guys are trying to perfect is going to be the area of the self, is really what it is. That's what the first house is all about. So it could be all about your personality. It could be how people perceive you. Perhaps you guys are trying to control the image you guys are portraying out there to the world. It could be maybe all about your personality. It could maybe even be all about your physical appearance. Maybe you guys are always going through changes and switching your physical appearance because you guys are trying to achieve some sort of perfection. Once again, keep in mind, perfection does not exist, but maybe this is happening unconsciously without you guys realizing. Next, we have Virgo in the second house. If you guys have Virgo in the second house, basically the area of life that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in is going to be your finances. Not only is it going to be your finances, it could also be all about your self-esteem and your self-worth as well. I always say in a lot of my videos that how much you deem yourself to be worthy and your self-worth and the belief in the self is always connected to how much money you are making. So perhaps there's something here where you guys are working on the self, or always trying to work on the self, or always trying to upgrade the self. Maybe there's something that's taking place here, but ultimately at the end of the day, it is connected to self-love. So if you guys do find yourselves in a situation where you're always trying to fix the self internally, well, perhaps maybe exploring and seeing why is this taking place is really what it is. Most of the time, like I mentioned earlier, my disclaimer is I'm not a psychologist, but everything does stem from the home and the original two caregivers. And also that second house is going to be our early belief systems. And again, where did they come from? The home, ultimately, and the parents and so on and so forth. So if there's anything going on here with self-worth, self-esteem, or anything of that sort where you guys are always trying to fix yourselves, and this could also manifest into the healing world as well. I find that there's a huge focus on healing, especially these days, which is great. Everybody wants to be a better version of themselves, but with that Virgo energy in there, it's like you're always trying to achieve some sort of perfection. So it's like you might find yourselves in this perpetual state of healing or trying to fix yourselves, and it's like, when does it end, right? That's that Virgo energy. Sometimes Virgo is always trying to achieve, again, perfection, and it always feels like it's not enough, and it's trying to get more and more. That's that Virgo energy. So it's about rectifying this energy within to understand that perhaps after a certain period of time of working on yourselves, it's like you guys might know yourselves and you want to be happy and satisfied with where you guys have gotten to at this point in time. So that's how it can manifest in terms of the self-worth and the self-image and the self-values, but also in terms of money. You guys are perfecting in the area of achieving money or finances overall. And same thing, Virgo always feels like it's not enough. So perhaps you guys get to a point in your lives where you guys do have a lot of money and wealth and abundance, and you guys would have to explore if you guys are still chasing more. Why are you guys chasing more? That's really the whole thing here with that Virgo energy. It's all about eventually understanding and being satisfied with what you have achieved, but Virgo is always trying to achieve more, because ultimately what Virgo is looking for is perfection. But also, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, perfection doesn't exist. So that's something that the Virgo energy is meant to ultimately come to terms with. So for you guys, it's in the area of money, finances, self-worth, and also the personal values and belief systems. So these are a few things that can take place if you have Virgo occupying your second house. If you have Virgo occupying your third house, the area of life that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in is going to be through your communication. It could be through your speech, how you speak, what you say, the words you guys use, how eloquent you guys are. Also, it could be through your ideas and intellect overall, the things that you guys know, the information you guys have gathered. The third house can absolutely deal with friendships as well. So perhaps this is the area that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in, and eventually learning that perhaps perfection doesn't exist. Maybe you guys are also critical, because with that ultimate dream of achieving perfection also comes criticism, and that's what Virgo is connected to as well, amongst many other things, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. But we're just looking at the area that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in. So when you have Virgo in the third house, because you yourselves are trying to achieve perfection, perhaps in some sort of idea or thought or knowledge or learning about things or speaking or how you guys speak, well, maybe you guys could also be very critical of how other people speak as well, or picking up on their flaws, or perhaps correcting their grammar and the words that they are using, and so on and so forth. So overall, this is the area you guys are trying to perfect. I can also see this manifesting into sometimes you guys are really thinking long and hard before you do speak or say something, okay? It can manifest in that way as well, you know, writing it out, editing it, looking at it again. These days, maybe using AI to like double check everything and make it look even more polished and perfect. So this could be the area of life that you guys are trying to perfect if you guys have Virgo occupying your third house. If you guys have Virgo occupying your fourth house, the area of life that you guys are trying to perfect is going to be anything to do with the home. It could also be anything to do with the emotional world as well. So first of all, a lot of the time when you guys have Virgo occupying your fourth house, you guys actually come from a critical home or a critical upbringing to begin with. It could have been a critical mother, or if the roles are reversed, it could be that parent as well, or the dominant feminine role in your life. So whoever took on this role could have been very, very critical towards you. Now, the whole thing with Virgo energy, why they are always trying to achieve perfection, is so they can avoid this criticism. And ultimately, where does the criticism stem from? Always, again, I'm not a psychologist, but everything does stem from the home and the original two caregivers ultimately at the end of the day, and then it kind of perpetuates throughout your life in different experiences with different individuals. So for you guys may have had, first of all, a very critical upbringing. So you yourselves could very much be like, first of all, very hard on yourselves, and this might not be something that you guys really show out there toward the world. People might not necessarily see this about you because it's the fourth house, it's that internal world, it's that emotional world. So it's like there could be a lot of criticism or feeling hard on yourselves, or just like this inner critical voice that you guys may have internalized. So that could be taking place. Now, with that being said, because you guys may have internalized this, you guys could be looking or trying to achieve perfection in this area, okay? So in terms of your emotional world, maybe in terms of your feelings, maybe in terms of really intellectualizing your feelings, or like really like assessing and dissecting, like, why do I feel this way? Like really, really intellectualizing the feelings when you guys have Virgo in the fourth house. Maybe not even expressing how you feel until you guys have perfected the emotion, okay? Because again, out of a fear of maybe getting some sort of criticism from another person, this probably isn't going to show up for you guys until you guys are maybe in some sort of closer, intimate dynamic, okay? So whether it's with a partner or a friend, and again, obviously your moon sign here is going to play a role, and so are the aspects to the moon, but overall the idea is here, okay? The idea in general here for Virgo in the fourth house, you guys are trying to achieve perfection when it comes to your emotional world, how you guys maybe express your emotions, or how you feel about things, or really intellectualizing the emotions versus feeling them. It could be this. Now, another way the energy can manifest is perfection around the home. You guys could be looking to achieve perfection around your homes. So let's say you guys no longer live with your family. Perhaps you live on your own, or maybe with a roommate, or maybe with a partner. You guys could be looking to achieve perfection within the home. So like, let's say you guys do live with roommates, for example, you know, maybe this could upset you if they are really, really messy, okay? Because you guys could really want to keep a clean space with Virgo in that fourth house. Also, let's say it's a partner. Maybe the partner is really messy. Maybe you guys don't see eye to eye in terms of cleanliness and hygiene and all these things, because that's also what Virgo is all about. So you guys are always looking to kind of keep your space clean, okay? And really it's clean to the point where it looks like nobody even lives there. That's not Virgo in the 4th house energy. Very much all about everything being in its spot, everything being in its place, almost kind of like a store, or like when you walk into IKEA, right? That idea of perfection, that's what you guys are looking to achieve. So it could manifest either of these two ways, but these are a few things that can take place in terms of the area that you guys are trying to perfect if you have Virgo occupying your 4th house. If you have Virgo occupying your 5th house, the area of life that you guys are trying to perfect, it could be a few things. The 5th house deals with the child, the inner child. Okay, it could be your own children. It could just be your own inner child overall. It could also be creativity. It could also be love, dating, and relationships. So when it comes to having Virgo in the 5th house, well, first of all, perhaps you guys are trying to perfect the area of, let's say, love, dating, and relationships. Okay, a lot of criticism could come up in this area. Maybe you guys could be hypercritical. And here's the thing too, a lot of the time when people are critical of others, especially when it comes to Virgo energy, I find that it comes from, first of all, yes, you are critical and hard on yourselves, but also you guys kind of have this perception that if you guys are able to achieve this standard for yourselves, this level of perfection that perhaps you guys are seeking, or at least trying to achieve, you guys kind of hold other people to that exact same standard. That's just how it is. We all think that everybody is like us. So for you guys, you could kind of have this high standard, or just like looking for perfection when it comes to relationships, because you guys are there yourself, so you're expecting this out of a partner as well, which is fine. It's good to have standards, absolutely, but it's like this energy is really looking for perfection. And the thing is, the level of perfection that Virgo looks for, because Virgo bounces off of Pisces, is like, it's a type of perfection that doesn't necessarily exist down here on this earth plane. So that's something that Virgo energy is trying to reconcile within themselves. So when it comes to love, dating, and relationships, perhaps because you guys are looking for this perfect idea or perfect image or perfect partner, or as close to perfection as possible, or again, perfect relationship, like however it can manifest, perhaps it hinders your dating life, for example, or the area of fun even, right? Because that 5th house is supposed to be fun. So when it comes to fun, you guys might struggle in this area as well, because it's like, I could see this manifesting into, you guys care how people are perceiving you in that moment, or it's like, when people let loose and they're like wilding out and like screaming, like you guys might not be like that with Virgo in the 5th house, right? So it's like the Virgo energy in the 5th house is like, again, you're looking to achieve perfection in this area, but it's literally the fun house. Sometimes having fun and all these things can be planned and it doesn't really involve perfection, right? So you guys might struggle in this area, the Virgo in the 5th house, let's say with having fun. Also because it does deal with the inner child overall, with the inner child and having Virgo in the 5th house, especially if you look at the inner child in terms of creativity. There could be maybe a struggle to fully express yourselves creatively because you're always trying to perfect something, perfect a craft. But here is the thing, what I will say is, let's say you guys are interested in some sort of creative field or creative work, you guys are going to be as close to perfection as possible in that area. So I can see this energy manifesting as someone who is perhaps, let's say, an actor or actress, and they're really, really trying to get the lines, get the character, all these things with Virgo in the 5th house. And compared to other people, you guys are going to be closer to perfection. But here is the thing, the Virgo energy, again, because it's kind of chasing this image that is very high and idealized, you guys are still hard on yourselves. But it's important to understand that it's like you're still going to be closer to perfection than the rest of the signs. I really, really hope that that makes sense, because you're working so hard to perfect this area. So it's like with Virgo, I find a lot of the time it's like, because they are looking to achieve this level of perfection that doesn't necessarily exist, they like try to perfect something so much that by the end they're like, okay, I'm over it, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not putting it out there, because it's not that ideal level of perfection. But what I will say is, if you do put it out there, it's still going to be closer to perfection than, let's say, someone who doesn't have this energy taking place in their natal chart. So I hope that that makes sense, but that's kind of like the idea here when it comes to your inner child, okay, and creativity, and really trying to perfect a craft and trying to, again, get it as close to perfection as possible. Now, another way this energy could manifest also could be about your children. So let's say you guys do have kids. Perhaps you guys are very, very critical or like looking for perfection when it comes to your kids. Okay, so keep this in mind, because it's like the criticism energy and the perfection energy kind of goes hand in hand, because it's like the criticism comes from something not being perfect, right? But sometimes you have to understand that, first of all, especially if it's like a living, breathing human being, they might not necessarily be perfect. I mean, nobody is at the end of the day, but that's the thing with Virgo energy. They try so hard to be perfect themselves that they kind of expect that from everybody around them as well. And that's kind of where that criticism energy comes from. It's kind of like a chicken and the egg situation. So it's like when you have Virgo in the fifth, like when it comes to your own children, you know, perhaps you guys are trying to achieve perfection in this area, or like you're looking toward your children to be perfect, or maybe you guys want to portray that image out there toward the world that your children are perfect. So just something to keep in mind. You guys can kind of take this information and do whatever you want with it, but that's also another way this energy can manifest as well. So these are a few things that can take place if you guys have Virgo occupying your fifth house and the area that you guys are trying to perfect in this lifetime. If you guys have Virgo occupying your sixth house, so Virgo occupies the sixth house already, okay? So basically it is at home here. The sixth house overall deals with health, healing, being of service, and your daily acquaintances and work as well. So the area that you guys might be trying to perfect could be any of these things. I can see this manifesting into someone who is trying to perfect their diet, someone who is trying to perfect what they eat. Maybe depending on what else is going on in the natal chart, there could be something going on with the body image as well here, and the Virgo energy trying to perfect that as well through, let's say, health or going to the gym, or let's say fitness and all these things. It could maybe manifest into the extreme version as well, so keep that in mind. If you guys are, let's say, an Aries rising and you have Virgo occupying the sixth house, and it's not going to be everybody, sometimes people have interceptions and the positive tropical system. I could really see this manifesting into, let's say, like an athlete, okay, or someone trying to perfect this area, okay, in terms of, let's say, working out, going to the gym, exercise, all these things. It could manifest in this way, for example, but in general, it could be anything to do with your diet, what you guys are eating. It could be the area of health, so keep this in mind, because again, in the extreme version, maybe there could be like an intense focus on health as well, to the point of hypochondria, because Virgo energy could absolutely manifest in that direction as well. So it's like you're really particular about what you eat, what you are taking in, because the thing is, at the end of the day, it's all about balance, right? Because it's like, it's good to care about what you're eating and what you're putting into your body, like that's there, but then it's like it kind of gets to the point where it's like kind of coming from an unhealthy place as well. If it's like every single thing, or like you're watching every single calorie, or you're like weighing everything to make sure that it's equal all the time. Don't ever treat yourself, right? You don't want to wild out either, because that's the other extreme manifestation of the energy as well. But in general, okay, it's this, okay? So you guys are trying to perfect the area of what you guys are eating, perhaps your diet, your health in general. Like I mentioned earlier, it could be connected to your body image as well, okay, your physical appearance, going to the gym, exercise, all these things. So it could manifest in this way, the area you guys are trying to perfect. Also, it could manifest in terms of your work. So perhaps you guys are trying to perfect your career, or get that ideal job, or get that dream job, or like I could see this manifesting into someone who's always changing or switching their jobs, okay? Because it's like you get the job, but it's still not quite like you had envisioned. So then you're chasing the next job, and it always kind of feels like it's not enough. Like that's that shadow of the Virgo energy. That's why I feel like they're trying to achieve perfection. A few things. Earlier, I mentioned for one of the other house placements is that like a lot of the time, the whole chase for perfection comes from either the upbringing or something of that sort, where you guys got criticized in this exact same area. So you're always trying to achieve perfection, so nobody outside of you can criticize you. It could come from there, but also it could come from this energy of like feeling not enough, or like what you get is not enough. Or also then that is going to be connected to this idea of like this idealized thing that you're trying to achieve, right? So in this case, the idealized dream here is going to be connected to your work, your career, maybe even your colleagues, maybe what you guys do for work, maybe your workspace, the type of job it is. So that's how it can manifest as well. You're trying to achieve perfection in the area of work overall, okay? But overall, I can also see this manifesting into someone who's like a very competent employee, okay? Or you guys are very competent at your jobs. You guys are very good at your jobs. Maybe you guys learn fast. Maybe also you guys could get bored because you learn fast, and then you move on to the next job as well. So it can manifest in this way as well. But it's this, ultimately, the idea here is with Virgo overall, they're trying to achieve some sort of perfection because it's connected to the Pisces energy, the oppositional energy, but it's like, ultimately, it's important to understand that perfection doesn't exist down here. So I find that Virgo energy is always kind of chasing the next thing, or fixing something, or looking to fix something, because they're always trying to kind of create it in like the way that they have in their minds, or like, let's say they could have created it for themselves fully, right? Like this could also manifest, let's say, into an entrepreneur as well. I can see it manifesting into that way, because it's like perhaps you guys were looking for some sort of job or work or career, especially let's say you guys are an Aries rising and you guys don't have any interceptions, and then you have Virgo in the sixth house. Like I can see this manifesting into entrepreneurship, because it's like, through looking for these jobs and trying to achieve perfection, maybe you guys eventually realize that the only perfection that might exist, or the job that might be perfect for you, would be one that you guys create for yourselves. You know what I mean? So it could manifest in this way as well. But that's the overall idea here, the area that you guys are trying to perfect. A few things that could take place. If you guys have Virgo occupying your sixth house. If you guys have Virgo occupying your seventh house, the area that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in is going to be in your relationships. So it's going to be in your friendships, your love lovers, your interpersonal relationships, your business partners, your partners overall, anybody that you guys are in an interpersonal relationship with, you guys are trying to perhaps achieve perfection in this area. So maybe you guys are looking for the perfect partner, or maybe you guys are trying to fix your partners to achieve perfection. This is a little bit tricky with the Virgo in the 7th house overall, or having a Virgo descendant, because it's like you guys are looking for perfection when it comes to the area of your relationships, okay? So you guys can kind of feel let down a lot of the time, because again, it bounces off of Pisces is really what it is. And in this case, you guys will probably be a Pisces rising as well. So there is like a dreamer element here connected to you guys overall. And that's the thing, like all of the energies bounce off of its oppositional energy, right? So it's like Virgo bounces off of Pisces already. That's why Virgo is trying to achieve some sort of perfection, but they're kind of trying to ground it down here on this earth plane compared to Pisces. Pisces can go more so into like the dreaming aspect of things. And I find that whenever Virgo does ground it down, because they do have the ability to ground down this dream that they have, that they find that it's not exactly how they had envisioned. So there could be a little bit of a disappointment energy attached here to the Virgo energy, because again, especially in the area of relationships, it's like you guys are trying to kind of get this idealized image that you guys perhaps have created in your mind. And like for everybody in their minds, everything is perfect, right? Because it's like when we think about the imagination and what we're thinking about in our minds, it's more so the 2D image of something. And then when we kind of ground it down here, it turns into the 3D. And it's like, especially when it comes to relationships and humans, people are complex and people have shadows and people have a lot to work on, actually, is really what it is. And it's like, again, having that Virgo in the 7th, it's like with Virgo, I find that they're always looking for this perfection because they can achieve it for themselves. I hope that makes sense. So it's like their standards might be high, and it's like also with Virgo in the 7th, you guys might see the potential in people, or like what their potential could be, and you guys might push them in that direction. So it's going to be important when you guys have Virgo in the 7th to not take on projects ultimately, okay? To try to at least meet these people in the physical, okay? And you know, if they're not there yet in terms of the requirements you guys might have for them, kind of just like letting the relationship go instead of trying to fix them, because it's just going to be energetically draining for you guys overall. But this could be a pattern for you guys. Now keep in mind, if you have Virgo in the 7th, which is your descendant, in this case, you guys could also attract these types of people towards you, because it's like they could be showing you the shadow aspect of the self as well. So it kind of depends to see how the energy can manifest. But yes, overall, this is where you guys are trying to achieve perfection. You're trying to achieve perfection in the area of relationships. And you guys might find that when you do get into these relationships, that it's not quite like you guys had envisioned or pictured, and then you guys might try to fix this person or try to motivate them to reach their ultimate potential, which ultimately could be an energy drain or a siphon or just like a waste of time overall. So just like understanding yourselves is really what it is. That's all anybody can do at the end of the day, is have the self-awareness that this is something that could take place, and you know, trying to see that right off the bat, let's say when you meet people, to see if they are where you need them to be versus trying to take on a project. I find that because Virgo bounces off of Pisces, I find especially in this area, when you guys have Virgo in the 7th, you guys could get really disappointed, okay? Because the Pisces energy also has a disappointment energy attached to them as well. You guys might find yourselves really disappointed in the area of friendships, because again, you're trying to achieve some sort of perfection when it comes to your interpersonal relationships, that you guys might go into isolation, which is where you guys might bounce off of Pisces, where you guys go into this isolation energy and then you guys don't have anybody around you. But it's like, it's important to understand that nobody is perfect, okay? Everyone has flaws down here on this earth plane, and you know, sometimes people don't want to work on themselves, even though you guys might, okay? Because you guys are maybe trying to achieve perfection in this area, because you guys could be looking for that in other people as well. So these are a few things that can take place if you guys have Virgo occupying your 7th house. If you guys have Virgo occupying your 8th house, the area you guys are trying to achieve perfection in, it could be a few things. The 8th house deals with sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. So you guys could be looking to achieve perfection in any of these areas, okay? It could be in your intimate lives. So I'm kind of speaking between the lines here with Virgo in the 8th house. Virgo is always trying to perfect, especially when you have Virgo in the 8th house. This energy is trying to perfect this area. Now, the struggle is when you're trying to achieve perfection, you're trying to kind of achieve something that doesn't necessarily exist, is really what it is. At the same time, you could either fear criticism in this area because you're trying to achieve perfection in it, or because you guys are trying to get as close to perfection as possible, you could be critical of other people in this area as well. So perhaps when it comes to your intimate partners, maybe there's a disappointment here because maybe you guys are trying to achieve perfection in this area and they're not, or maybe again, you kind of envisioned it to be one way and then it was another way, for example, or it's like you kind of feel like maybe they don't live up to your standards. I'm speaking all between the lines here for that Virgo in the 8th house. That's one of the ways this energy could manifest in terms of the area you guys are trying to achieve perfection in. But in general, like regardless of physical intimacy, it could just be intimacy overall. Let's say intimacy in terms of emotional intimacy, closeness when it comes to relationships. You guys could be looking to achieve perfection in this area as well, is really what it is. So that could be another thing that takes place. Now, because it does deal, let's say, with psychology and astrology and like the occult and all of these things, maybe these are other things that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in as well. Anytime I see, let's say, Virgo in the A house, or like, let's say I see Virgo Scorpio combinations taking place in a natal chart, these people are going to be very, very good at learning, let's say, psychology, the occult, anything to do with astrology, even, for example, anything that involves studying. These people could be good detectives, FBI agents. They could be very good at being a private investigator, like all of these things, okay? Because you guys are looking to uncover something that is hidden, something that is behind the scenes. Now, obviously, it depends on the rest of the energies in your natal chart to see how this could play out, let's say, in the grand scale of things. But that's kind of like the idea here with Virgo in the A house. Like, let's say you guys do work in the private investigator industry. You guys are looking to achieve perfection in this, trying to get to the bottom of a case, trying to be the best, let's say, PI that exists out there, or let's say the best detective, or let's say it's some sort of case that you guys are working on. But again, this can manifest in any of the other A house topics that I mentioned earlier as well. Let's say it's even finances. It's usually other people's money as well. So perhaps you guys are trying to achieve perfection in this area as well. Let's say you guys are an accountant or a bookkeeper, like, you know, working maybe for somebody else or with somebody else's money, or like a financial advisor, like you're trying to achieve perfection perhaps for your clients or something of the sort. Maybe you guys are married and it's for your spouse. So these are a few things that could take place in terms of the area of life that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in if you have Virgo occupying your 8th house. If you guys have Virgo occupying your 9th house, basically the area of life that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in, it could be your belief systems, it could be school overall, let's say you guys go to university or college, it could be, let's say, your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs, anything of this sort. When you have Virgo in that 9th house, you're trying to achieve perfection in exactly this area. I could really see this manifesting into someone, maybe when you were younger, in the earlier part of your schooling and education, you weren't maybe that interested in schooling and education, but later on, maybe you guys pick some sort of craft and you guys are perfecting that craft. Now I can see this manifesting into people who get, let's say, their masters and their PhDs and the higher education and the higher learning, like really perfecting that craft, researching it, learning all about it, whatever the craft is here that you guys are interested in. I can really see this energy becoming very good at, let's say, one subject, for example, okay? Like whatever you guys are interested in, let's say it comes to university or college, like I can see this manifesting literally into a professor, for example, okay? Where you guys are very well educated or well read in that exact area that you guys were studying. Obviously depends on the rest of the energies in your natal charts to see which subject this could manifest into, but I could really, really see this manifesting in that direction as well. Now, also because it does deal with spiritual beliefs and beliefs overall, you guys could be trying to perfect this area for yourselves, because Virgo is that researcher energy. It's really, really what it is. So it's like there could be something within you. Let's say you guys grew up in a religious household, or maybe there were specific belief systems within that household. Maybe they didn't resonate with you. So you guys are doing a lot of research, okay? Trying to create a belief system for yourselves. You're trying to perfect this internal belief system. And then maybe you guys teach other people as well, because that 9th house is learning and then teaching is really, really what it is. So it could be any of these things really, with the higher mind, the higher education, the higher learning. It could be travel with the 9th house as well. So like, let's say this can manifest into you trying to perfect the area, let's say, of travel, for example. So depends where you guys are living in the world. Let's say you guys are able to travel and go to other countries, really learning about these countries, you know, really trying to understand them, understand everything. Like I can see this as someone who like really knows, let's say, all about countries and all of the facts and all of the history and all of these things, okay? Because it's that 9th house. It's like the energy of already knowledge and higher wisdom, okay? And learning about, let's say, how people live and the cultures and their belief systems and so on and so forth. And now we have Virgo in here, which is that researcher energy. You guys are trying to perfect this area, perhaps in this way as well, okay? Let's say you guys are traveling and learning in this way, or sometimes I say to you guys, for that 9th house energy, if you're not able to travel, it's people from abroad who come to you, and then you guys learn in this way as well. Maybe you ask people, maybe then you're interested, maybe then you start researching it and learning all about it. So it could be this, okay? This is going to be a very intellectual energy here, because the 9th house is already intellectual, and now we have Virgo in here that's trying to perfect the 9th house. So whatever the subject here is that's higher minded, okay, and connected to something that is, again, either maybe religious or spiritual, or just like something that you guys are learning. Maybe it's in the school system as well. You guys are trying to perfect this area. So these are a few things that can take place if you guys have Virgo occupying your 9th house. If you guys have Virgo occupying your 10th house or your midheaven, so in this case, really, really interesting, because the 10th house deals with our public image. It can be our career. It can also be how the public perceives us, or even how we want the public to perceive us, or even how we portray ourselves on social media as well, okay, with that 10th house energy. So when you guys have Virgo in your 10th house, first of all, the area you guys are trying to achieve perfection in is going to be your career, okay, is going to be your public image overall, is going to be maybe the area that you guys are working in. Maybe you're trying to really achieve some sort of perfection in your niche with that Virgo and the 10th house. So a lot of the time I find with the Virgo energy, for them, it's like for them to put their name on something, okay, whatever it is that they're putting out there to the world, like it really has to have achieved some level of perfection, okay? That's why they spend a lot of time editing, looking at it again, editing it again, because if their name's going to be attached to it, they want it to be as close to perfection as possible. Sometimes it depends what's going on in terms of where you guys are at with the degrees of perfection, because sometimes I find with Virgo energy, they just like never end up putting that thing out there because it's like they look at it so many times, they edit it so many times, and then they're like, by the end, they don't like it anymore, what they kind of created, right? So that's something that Virgo is trying to kind of transmute internally overall as an energy. But for you guys in this case, it's going to be in the area of career, okay? So depends on the rest of your energies in the natal chart to see how it can manifest, what the work could be, what you guys are doing for work, because there's a lot of things you can look at in a natal chart, but it's like in this area, whatever you guys are doing for work, you want it to be as close to perfection as possible is really, really what it is with the Virgo in the 10th house. So it could be this. Also, it's going to be your public image overall. So here is the thing, like these days, especially with social media, even if you private your social media and maybe you don't post publicly, it's still public. Do you know what I mean? Because you're portraying an image to your friends or the people that follow you on your social media platforms. Let's say it is private, but it's like when you have Virgo in that 10th house, it's like you are trying to achieve some sort of perfection in terms of your image that you put out there toward the world. So I can see this manifesting into people who have, let's say, like a PR team that works with them, or it's like they're going to say something or have any sort of statement put out there. They're really going to make sure that it's edited and looked over, and maybe another person checks it too, and then they check it again to make sure that it's as close to perfection as possible. I can see this manifesting into, let's say, when people post online, they really spend a lot of time editing, let's say either their photos or their videos, all these things, okay? Maybe there is a certain like image or vibe to your feeds. When people talk about an aesthetic, like everything kind of has to look the same, and if there's one thing that's off, it's like really bothering you guys because it's like there's a vibe that's supposed to be going on here in terms of the feeds, for example. So it could manifest in this way in terms of your public image. It depends really, like when it comes to the public image, what area we are talking about here, okay? Because it could be like public in terms of you're literally working with the public, or it could be public in terms of your job and you're putting something out there for work, or it could be public in terms of your social media. Since everyone has a social media platform, I'm sure that's the easiest one to relate to. So it's going to be how you guys are presenting yourselves and you want the world to perceive you, okay? You're trying to achieve some sort of image of perfection. Like I can see this manifesting into people who kind of try to paint that picture perfect life, okay? Or they always look good, or everything is always in place, okay, with the Virgo energy. So this energy is really not going to want to have their guard down, especially when it comes to anything to do with their public image overall and career. So these are a few things that can take place if you guys have Virgo occupying your 10th house. If you guys have Virgo occupying the 11th house, well, this is really, really interesting because the 11th house deals with friends. I find it deals with friends in terms of people that you're kind of connecting together for some sort of higher minded purpose or cause. It's not so much like the 3rd house energy when it comes to like the day-to-day types of friends. It's more so for some sort of higher mission or higher purpose. But overall, the 11th house is the house of friendship. If we look at it in terms of astrology, and the way that astrology is taught is going to be the house of friendship. It's also the house of individuality, which is interesting that it also deals with friendship. This is what I mean. Like when I tap into the energy, to me, it's more so higher minded friendships. But overall, it's also going to be your individuality, your uniqueness, is really what it is. It's also going to be anything to do with philanthropy, humanitarianism. It could also be anything to do with like inventions, innovations, tech, all these things, okay, with that 11th house energy. So when you guys have Virgo occupying the 11th house, perhaps you guys are going to be looking to achieve perfection in the area of friends or friendship, which is interesting because I mentioned this for the 7th house energy as well. And even it could relate to the 3rd house energy too in terms of friends. Depends again what type of friendship we are talking about here. But the thing is, I find because Virgo is trying to achieve a certain level of perfection when it comes to their friendships, because they achieve that level internally, or at least they feel like they do, okay, they're always working on themselves and trying to be the best version of themselves, because they are able to get there themselves a lot of the time in terms of this perfect energy, they hold other people to a really, really high standard. A lot of the time, if there are no interceptions taking place, you will see Virgo as the 11th house for Scorpio risings, okay? So this is why Scorpio risings, for example, or Scorpio energy in general, when we look at Scorpio energy in general, why they are so quick to cut people off, because it's like they are able to get there themselves, okay, or work on these things for themselves, or achieve this level of perfection, or at least what they deem to be perfect. I don't think people are thinking about this consciously, but it's kind of happening energetically behind the scenes. So because they are able to get there themselves, in this particular case, it's like you kind of hold other people to that same standard. So if you guys are Scorpio rising, so you guys don't have any interceptions taking place in your chart, and each sign falls into its own house, well, in this case, you guys are going to have Virgo occupying your 11th house, and this is going to probably be why you guys cut off people so quickly, because it's like, again, you guys kind of hold yourselves to the standard, and it's like, if you can do it, other people should be able to do it as well, right? But it's like, at the same time, you know, you can't cut everyone off. So this is what the Virgo in the 11th house, regardless whether you're a Scorpio rising or not, most people might be, but some people might have an interception, so you might have a different rising sign. It doesn't really matter. But this is also what the Virgo in the 11th in general is meant to learn or understand, whatever way, shape, or form you guys want to look at it, is that like, not everyone can achieve that level of perfection, maybe that you guys can for yourselves, and you know, you don't have to cut everyone off immediately as well. If let's say they don't achieve that level of perfection that you guys are looking for within other people and humans overall are flawed. Not everyone is willing to work on themselves, unfortunately. So as long as no one's disrespecting you, like, it's different when people are disrespecting you, like, absolutely cut people off in that case. I'm more so talking about certain things here and there that either can be worked on within people, or it's like, that's just the way that the person is. So kind of like learning to adjust to the person as well. So it could be things like this, okay, where it's like this energy, again, is really looking for perfection when it comes to friendships. And ultimately, when it comes to any sort of relationship, the way that I see it is like, communication is key. So it's like, if there is something that does bother you, speaking maybe to this person instead of cutting them off immediately and right away, especially again, if you guys are Scorpio rising, because that's something that this energy tends to do. And then again, because Virgo bounces off of Pisces, Virgo has that tendency, especially with the 11th house here, Virgo in the 11th, to go into isolation is really what it is, to kind of, you know, do their own thing, which is interesting because again, that 11th house can deal with individualism and doing your own thing anyways. So it's really interesting to see how this energy could manifest. But basically it's this: you guys are trying to achieve perfection in the area of friends and friendship as well. Now, if we look at it in terms of, let's say, tech and innovation and ideas, you guys could be trying to perfect this as well. Okay, so making sure that, you know, let's say you guys come up with an invention or an idea or an app or whatever it is, that it is perfect or as close to perfection as possible before you guys put it out there and put your name on it. So it could be this, it could be in the area of philanthropy as well. So let's say you guys are working on some sort of philanthropy project, or maybe it's activism or something of the sort where you are assisting the community in this way. Well, perhaps you guys are trying to achieve the level of perfection in this area as well. Okay, Virgo, a lot of the time I find they tend to be very good managers as well, because of the level of perfection that they are trying to achieve. They tend to be very good at, first of all, picking the employees is really what it is, because they can kind of see within people who are going to be individuals that are competent, and then eventually like training them, okay, to be kind of like them is really what that is. Like, it's a very good energy when it comes to work, Virgo overall energetically, but in this case we are looking at Virgo in the 11th house. So let's say you guys do work in some sort of field that does involve, let's say, tech or inventions or whatever it is, like, you guys are going to be very good at creating that team that you guys are working with, because again, it's like the vibe that you guys put out there, right? It's also like your vibe attracts your tribe. So it's like you guys are super competent, so you're kind of looking for ultimate perfection as well, like whoever maybe that you guys are working with, because that's that 11th house as well. It's like groups of people ultimately is really what it is. So these are a few things that can take place if you have Virgo occupying your 11th house. If you have Virgo occupying your 12th house, and this is where it gets interesting, because a lot of the time the sign that people have occupying their 12th house, I find this is how they unconsciously behave. So you guys might not even be aware that you guys behave in this way. So we are looking at the area you're trying to achieve perfection in. Virgo in the 12th house overall, subconsciously, unconsciously, like whatever way, shape, or form you guys want to look at it. And I'm not a psychologist, that's always my disclaimer, but it's like you guys are perfectionists ultimately is really what it is. Another thing here too to mention is that perfectionism is also connected to procrastination. So it's like, I find with having that Virgo in the 12th house, again, unconsciously, whether you guys are aware of it or not, you guys are really trying to achieve perfection overall. Like, you guys are perfectionists in general, like unconsciously you behave like a perfectionist. You have Virgo in the 12th, perhaps you're a Libra rising, let's say you don't have any interceptions taking place, or you might be a different rising sign, let's say you do have interceptions taking place here. But it's really interesting to see, because it's like with Virgo in the 12th house, whether you're aware of it or not, unconsciously you are a perfectionist, or you're looking for perfection, whether it's in people or in the world or in life in general. Because the 12th house does deal with the subconscious and the unconscious, it can also deal with like psychic gifts and abilities as well. It can deal with like creativity too. Like, the 12th house is very vast. I find that when people have Virgo in the 12th, you're also going to be kind of trying to achieve perfection, even in terms of maybe, let's say, the insights you guys get, for example, maybe before, let's say, putting it out there to the world. Let's say you guys are sharing it with the world, so it could manifest in this way as well. Let's say it's in the realm of creativity. You guys could be looking to really, you know, perfect the area of creativity, perhaps before you guys put it out there into the world. Like this energy is really, really interesting because unconsciously you guys behave like a Virgo is really, really what it is when you have Virgo in the 12th house. So it's like, it could really affect all areas of life, even though we are looking at the 12th house specifically, but it could really affect all areas of your life. I do find it's kind of like whatever is important to you guys, whether it's your work, whether it is your career, whether it's your relationships. I find that it doesn't really matter with the 12th house energy in here because unconsciously you guys behave like a Virgo. So it's like you can manifest in a lot of realms of life for you guys. This energy of looking for perfection or perfectionism in general, or trying to achieve perfectionism, like this energy can manifest as like someone who's a super competent employee, for example, or someone who like really wants to make sure that their work is good and on point and that all the information is accurate before they put their name connected to that particular thing. Okay, and it's like, again, because perfectionism is also connected to procrastination, you guys might not put things out there for a long period of time because it's not perfect yet. So you guys might kind of like put things off and like not do that particular thing or not look at it, or like maybe you do something but then you have to like edit it and then it's like, you know, you kind of drag it out. So it can manifest a lot of different ways, but it's important to understand with Virgo in the 12th, unconsciously you guys behave like a Virgo. So it's like overall, unconsciously, whether you're aware of it or not, there could be this energy of trying to achieve perfectionism overall is really, really what it is with this energy. But overall, if we look at the 12th house in general, the area of life could be dance, music, film, theater, the psychic world, the metaphysical world, tarot, all these things. Anything that is 12th house related, you guys could be achieving perfection in this area overall. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up my video here on the area of life that you guys are trying to achieve perfection in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.